Charlotte and Francis, please do come on in.
Thank you.
There you go, Charlotte, if you would like to sit there, please, and Francis there. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Jones and Dr. Gould, good morning to both of you. Thank you very much indeed for coming today. My name is Dr. Elsheikh, and I'm very happy for you to call me Zaza. Would it be okay to use first names today, do you think?
Yes,
okay, so Francis and Charlotte. Great. So I just want to tell you a little bit about my role today and the process of mediation so that you understand what will happen today. So my role is that I'm independent, so I have no underlying interest in what might happen here today. And I'm also unbiased. I'm not on anybody's side here. This is a voluntary process, so I know that you've decided to come to mediation, and whatever happens here will remain confidential. So whatever is said here today must remain confidential. And if, for any reason, you don't settle today, you don't reach an agreement today, you will not be able to use anything in the evidence, in a court case, for instance, that you've taken from this process. So basically, all that happens today is in a box, a confidentiality box.
Okay.
Okay, is that agreed?
Yes.
Great, okay. And then in terms of the actual process, what will happen is that I will in a moment invite one of you to speak first. And in this particular instance, I will be asking you, Francis, to start first. And that's not because there's any favoritism or anything. It's just that, as I understand it, you, Francis, brought the case to mediation. So that's just the traditional way that we do it, okay?
Okay.
And then if, for any reason, we do need to break from this joint session to have a private session with either one of you, then I will ask you to go first then, Charlotte, okay?
Okay.
All right. So, in terms of the actual conversation that we're about to have, it will be enormously helpful if you don't interrupt each other, that you allow each other relatively equal time to speak, and I will control that, the time. In terms of using offensive language, please avoid that, because this is a golden opportunity for you to come together in a non-judgmental space. I would really invite you not to be offensive to one another and to try and listen without interrupting. Does that all sound clear?
That's fine.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Are there any questions before we start?
I have no question for now.
No, I'm okay at the moment, yeah, thank you.
Good. Okay. So in that case, then please, Francis, please go ahead.
So Miss Gould moved into her community around 3 months ago, and every Sunday she's having loud bunch of parties, rambunctiousness. It's quite disturbing knowing that Sunday is supposed to be the day of peace, the day of rest. I work a hard job. I teach piano. I know when I'm allowed to, when I'm not allowed to make noise, and it's just I feel like she's disrespecting myself and the community by carrying on and not even putting other people's considerations and also the town's bylaws to consideration. After the first time I was said, like, okay, maybe she doesn't understand rules, so I look for this letter as you can see right there.
Thank you.
Outlining when the times of peace are supposed to be, and she took no adherence to it. And I'm just starting to get tired of seeing people coming in, treating it like their own, not listening to the rules, not hearing what we're saying, and I'm tired of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Francis. So we had agreed to use first names,
Yes.
so rather than Miss Gould, perhaps Charlotte.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah. I know it's a first time, so it may not come naturally to you. So thank you so much for explaining so clearly, your thoughts about what's been happening. I can hear from you that your community is very important to you, and indeed how you enjoy your home, your Sundays in particular is really important, and how important it is that you are part of your community as well. So I heard that very loudly, very clearly from you, that being in your community, having been here for quite some time, that's very important to you, that sense of community. Have I got that right? Is there anything I've missed out?
I mean, it's just very disturbing because it's not like we haven't reached out. Like, I'm uncomfortable using her name Charlotte because she's never introduced herself to me.
Understood. Okay.
So it's not the community that I grew up in, and I don't want that to be the future of my community.
Understood. So for you, your community and how it feels and how it looks, how you're experiencing it, you would like it to continue in the same way?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Francis. Okay, Charlotte, thank you so much for waiting so patiently. I know some of what you heard may be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
but
really uncomfortable.
I understand. So please do speak freely, but as I mentioned earlier, try not to use any offensive language.
Okay. That's the first I've heard that I'm living in a community. We've bought a house. We're really happy to be away from where we were living before. We've moved 4 or 5 times over the last 12 years. This is all our savings gone into what is going to be hopefully our forever home. Our family is really happy to have finally settled. But we haven't moved into a community. We've moved into a neighborhood. We've moved into a town. But all this talk of community is actually really making me feel deeply uncomfortable. We're living our lives. We're seeing our friends, our family. We work hard too. It's not a big house, but finally, family members and friends are able to come and see us. We were living in a 3-bedroom apartment before then. And finally, we have some space. We have a garden. And we we see each other. We gather together. We celebrate, that it's the weekend, that we've got some time off. But we certainly are not having raucous, wild parties. And I seriously object to being told how to live my life. We have reached out to you. We asked you if you would like to come and join and pop in for a cup of tea on the Sunday afternoon at one point. And I'm just really confused as to why we are even here.
Thank you very much, Charlotte, for explaining your feelings and what's been happening from your perspective. What I heard you say is that you're very confused about why you're here. That also you're concerned because you heard Francis earlier talking about community, and for you your experience is of a neighborhood rather than community, and that you find that also a little confusing.
I certainly do, yeah, because we're neighbors, but we don't have to live the same life.
Okay.
And obviously it would seem that Francis doesn't have many visitors, or that's none of my business, and why it should concern him that we have a lot of friends and a lot of an active social life. I just do not see how it's any of your business.
So I hear from you, Charlotte, that you would like to live an independent, even different life from those of your neighbors, but that you still are very caring and concerned for the environment. You want to fit in. What I heard you say was that you would like to fit in. Yeah. So I wonder if now that both of you have explained your respective positions, your perspectives on how you see things, I wonder if it would be okay for us now just to note down a few areas that I hear are common between you.
Can I just clarify something, Serge? Because when she spoke, she said she invited me over many times for a spot.
Once.
I was going out, and there's no way I could make that. She invited me over. I don't know what's going through my mind, but knowing that I would not be able to make it. Mm-hmm. And it's not just myself that's having problems with these. If 9 o'clock on a Sunday, she just said it. Who parties until 9 o'clock on a Sunday? You have to work Monday morning. Mm-hmm. the Greens have this problem. The Johnsons also have this problem, and I'm the only person that has been fed up to hear, and I'm the one that's standing up because they're too scared. This is my neighborhood. This is our neighborhood. There's parks where you can do all your partying if you want. You don't need to bring your training. My kids need to go to sleep early on Saturday night, and you're in your backyard all chit-chatting and jabbering with your music.
It's our backyard.
Yes, and my kid's room is facing your backyard. Don't you have any consideration for your neighbors?
If it was 2:00 in the morning.
Well, 9 o'clock
fair
on a
enough.
Sunday.
No, I'm sorry. I personally, no, I do not see that as a problem. What is it? Is there a curfew on the town?
Maybe that's why you had to move 3 times, because you didn't understand what a community was.
No, you moved because we didn't have enough space. It was nothing to do with having weird neighbours.
So I think it would be important for me just to remind you, earlier we said about trying to avoid offensive language. So
I apologize. It's just hearing what she was saying and hearing out her lies. I just wanted to make that clear before anything is.
And you each have your own perspectives. Again, referring to somebody else's perspective as a lie can not be so helpful in this process. So I know there's a lot of emotion rising here. I do acknowledge that. And I have heard from each one of you how this has been quite an uncomfortable experience for you. As I understand it, your homes are separated by a common wall.
Yes.
So I understand that also noise can travel through when you both feel that you're living your lives as you ordinarily would, and that you are trying to be considerate for your neighbors, but perhaps there's more noise filtering through than each one of you would like.
He plays the piano.
So
Yes, but I don't play during these hours. I understand when you're supposed to be quiet and when you're allowed to make some noise.
I don't see how I don't see how children talking or playing is making noise.
The children talking, playing isn't the problem. It's the parties that you have
It's
on
not
the
a party.
Sunday.
Do you know what a party
That's why
is?
you're here,
Have you
he
ever
says.
been
I'm
to
not
one?
communicating with this.
well, you're in the right place for us to be able to try to listen to each other. Okay? So what I propose to do now is to just put on the board some issues that you have both raised. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. So what I hear is really important to you is what I was saying earlier is community. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. And Charlotte, do you agree with that as being an important aspect?
I personally don't like the word.
Okay, you were saying neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay, no problem.
I was aware from living in the country for a very long time that I would close my windows over lunchtime. That's what I do. If we're having lunch and if there's music playing or whatever, if the kids are talking, if their friends are over, I will close my windows over lunchtime. I am doing that. Now, okay, I'm not doing that necessarily on a Sunday if we're in the garden or what have you. I'm not going to shut the windows over lunchtime on a Sunday. I'm sorry, I haven't been doing that. However, I will close my windows over lunchtime, but I will not ask the household to be quiet between 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock because some community rule that people said, what on earth is that? Can you actually explain what you're on about?
So let me just clarify what I'm hearing from you, Charlotte. I'm hearing that it's really important for you to feel that you have freedom in your home to live your life as you like with your children, but that the attempt that you're making to mitigate, to minimize the amount of noise that Frances hears is that you close your windows between the hours of 12 and 2?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
I think the problem here is that she isn't listening.
Okay.
Because the reason why we're here
Yes.
is because of the parties and the gatherings that she has on Sunday. I'm not
Okay,
complaining
so
about
Sunday is a thing.
I'm explaining what the rules are because you did not know what the rules are. The Sunday gatherings, which she, even after I tried to assist her, she ignores and continues to do.
Okay, yeah. So Sundays is a
That's the
particular
biggest,
issue.
You have a problem with people being happy and actually just living their life, right? Because obviously...
Well, you're the person that just moved in here trying to change everything.
Okay. So
And we have-
I think that, the level of the dialogue now is unhelpful in terms of
I
being
apologize. It's just
offensive.
very.
So, Francis and Charlotte, really kind of you to come back. We've just had a break. I'm hoping that you were able to use the facilities, that you found the teas, coffees okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good, good. Well, it's always useful in mediation to have a bit of a break, just to allow yourselves to refresh and start to understand what's been spoken about and then be ready to speak about other parts of the discussion. So earlier, just before the break, we identified issues between the two of you. And, they're not in any particular order. We just put them there. You see the Sunday has got a red circle around it because I think it was agreed between you that that was the main issue. Everything else was related to it, but that was the primary issue. Is that still the case? You agree with that?
Yes.
Great. So I'm just wondering, Francis and Charlotte, if you would be willing for us just to talk a little bit about your interests. So your interests, you spoke about, for instance, the need for quiet. But what we haven't yet talked about is why it's so important for you, Francis, to have relative quiet, and for you, Charlotte, to have relative noise, liveliness, as you were describing. So I'm wondering, Francis, if you could just explain a little bit more about why noise is an issue for you.
Noise. Sunday mornings we go to church, and it's my moment to reflect and to kind of recharge after a busy week, and then when I come home, and I'd like to just be able to be in peace and let the message and just let everything just settle down and prepare me for the coming week. And it just gets very frustrating when I can't do that because there's a noise, and it's tricky because with the noise it comes almost a helplessness to be able to do nothing about it, because after repeated attempts, it's just we're not being heard. So it just really everything that you gain from the reflection and everything is gone, and then the week starts off on the wrong foot.
Okay, thank you very much, Francis, for explaining that. And what I'm hearing from you is that Sundays represent a time for decompression.
Yes, exactly.
To really release from the week's tension and invigorate yourself for the coming week.
Exactly.
Correct? Okay. And then I also heard you say something about hopelessness or helplessness when there is noise, when you can't do anything about it.
Yes, because we tried to, it's the attempt to communicate and then not being heard. And that's very frustrating.
Okay. And just for my clarification, do you mean the attempt to communicate was the note or
Yes.
any other attempt?
The note.
The note,
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Francis. Charlotte, thank you for waiting patiently and listening to what Francis had to say. So similarly, can you explain why having, a lively environment is key to you based on what you were saying earlier?
I don't think it's specifically the lively environment, but it's just a chance for family to see each other and just let off steam. And I think maybe we just have different ways of reviving ourselves for the next week that's coming, because it's just a case of having our children are at such different ages, and it's just such a chance for them to let off steam and to have a little bit of fun. And we don't do any homework on Sundays. It's our day to really just let our hair down and relax. So it's not so much about wanting to have noise, but just letting people be themselves in their own space. And I, until now, I'd never really thought of it as being impinging on anybody's quiet time or anything like that. It was just a chance for us. It's just our chance in the week to be together, particularly for my son who, has some problems at school, and it's really important for him that he, has that family time, which is something that he didn't have a lot of in our other home. And we didn't have that many people come over and visit us because we were living quite a long way out. And now we're much more accessible. And so we're thrilled to be able to open the doors to them and to have them come in and be with us. So that's the important part. It's just the chance to be with those that we love.
Sure. Okay. So that's wonderful that you've been able to explain that so clearly. That for you, what I called liveliness, what you call as just people to be themselves, is for you a symbol and an expression of relaxation.
Yes. Yeah.
And for Francis, you were saying that it's a time for decompression and reinvigoration. So in that sense, you both have very common interests. It's just that the expression of it might be quite different. Would you agree with
Yes,
that?
I would.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that you do actually have a very common interest, goal, to be relaxed, to be reinvigorated, refreshed for the next week. Agree?
Definitely.
It really is.
Okay. So in terms of your children, you both earlier on, and now there was also some mention of children. What is it that you really find important for your children? Because I heard from you, Charlotte, that for your children, you want them to be themselves. You made mention of your son as well, and having some perhaps challenges at school and having the space to express freely at home. And I'm wondering for you, Francis, what does that look like in terms of your children?
Well, like our children, they are involved in many activities and sports and everything. So like Sunday is also their time to just decompress, do their homework, just have that moment where they can just let everything go and just relax.
I don't know if it's just that I don't know how old your children are. Francis, maybe.
One's in the 3rd grade, one's
Yeah.
in the 6th, and one's in the 8th.
Okay, but my son Thomas he has ADHD, and at school he's constantly being told to be, they're sort of watching him because he can take a lot of attention for himself, and it's hard for him to sit still. At the weekends, it's really important that he doesn't feel like I'm telling him sort of the same thing at home, and that he can sort of let loose. He has to, balance his home life and his school life. And it is very important for me that he is able to have that, not having to think too much about how he's behaving at home.
The running up and down stairs, that's children. That's what happens. That's not why we're here.
Mm-hmm. So for you, the irregular noise that we spoke about isn't the children running up?
No. Like children are children. That happens.
So just for clarity then, are you saying to Charlotte that you needn't worry about your son Thomas running up and down the stairs?
That's not the issue at all.
Okay.
Okay.
So again, leading on from earlier on when we spoke about irregular noise, I'm just wondering if what we've just been discussing, for you, why there's a particular grating of your how you feel uncomfortable when the noise, as I understand it, is chatting and music.
Loud chatting and the music drawn out because it's from 12 o'clock until 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like running up and down stairs, that's just a momentary thing.
I see. Okay. All right. Yeah. Is that a little clearer to you, Charlotte?
Yeah, it's just without sort of policing the household when there are so many people in the house, and it's just very important that my friends and family feel comfortable in my home. That's my main objective.
Yeah. I'm hearing very clearly from you, Charlotte, that relaxation and hospitality are very important to you, being able to extend the hospitality and for your children to feel relaxed as well as for yourselves. For you, Frances, that you acknowledge that children will run up and down the stairs, that you have no discomfort with that, but for you it's the length of time of hearing voices and music, so voices chatting and music. So as you see here are the issues, and I'm wondering if you're ready now for us to go through each of the issues, noting that Sunday is a very key issue of primary importance to you, but working through all of the issues, we'll take them one by one. I know that we wrote them in no particular order, but just so that we cover everything, we'll just go through each one. And look at the possibility of what can happen there, so exploring the options, because at the end of the day, you're here because your status quo was not really working for both of you. Neither of you were happy with it. And as I mentioned earlier, this is your mediation. The responsibility for the outcomes lies with the both of you. I'm just here to facilitate what can sometimes be a little challenging, and to see where we go with this. All right?
Okay.
You happy with that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, right. So if we leave Sunday till last, if that's okay, because we know it's the primary issue, and just go through the others systematically. What I hope is a common understanding between you is the intention that you would like more understanding of each other.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So that being the case, I wonder if we can now look at how you achieve what you would both like. Is that a possibility? So I'll just write the word understanding, which has been achieved. Now, greater understanding, and then we can have a think about how we use this greater understanding as a springboard for the two of you to look at what options there are, explore what options there are, so that you can live next to each other with more understanding of each other's interests and needs.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I was wondering if we could now use understanding as the basis for us to also have a look at how these issues might be resolved. So for you to think about what options do you think would work? For instance, earlier we wrote relationship. How do you think that might happen for you to develop some form of relationship? You also mentioned children. So could you come up with some ideas of how that might work?
I mean, I think we should bring our children together. I mean, I hadn't realised that you had 3 children, and that does seem like a pretty good starting point.
So a play date of some sort?
Do play dates?
Yeah, we could do. I mean, the older children may not be all play datey, but we can try to
Yeah.
What other way do you think the children could all be engaged? Because you said somewhere older.
Yeah.
Well, we've had this trampoline put in our back garden, and your kids are really welcome to come over. And my second son, who's 12, can't get off the thing and loves to be out there. I don't know if that's something that you would think.
I mean, they're all active, so I'm sure they would.
You're very welcome, honestly. So I would just, maybe we should just have like an afternoon, a snack after school or something, and they could just all, see if they get on, or just seems a very good starting place for me, because I think.
How does that sound to you, Frances?
Yeah, we could look at that possibility. I'm just thinking of their schedules right now. Yeah,
I can see that there's some hesitation. So this is just an option. It's not an agreement. Later on we'll talk about what is agreed. But these are just options that you're willing to at least explore. Yeah.
So my son is 14. I have a 12-year-old, and I have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old, both girls.
So I'll put trampolining there. and I'll put date, trampolining date, rather than a play date. And you were mentioning after school, so I'll just put that there and just emphasizing that this isn't an agreement, it's just options, yeah? After school. Okay? So in other words, not on a Sunday. Okay? All right. What ideas have you got, Francis, of how you can accommodate each other? What ideas do you have? Now moving specifically to Sunday as their...
Yeah. Like in general, sorry, or...
What would you like us to do differently on a Sunday that would fit in better with what you're asking of us? Because, as I've said a few times, I do feel like we express our sort of downtime differently.
That connection shouldn't impose on our connection.
No, but we have even though our house isn't very big, it is the bigger house. But I mean, I could ask my sister-in-law if we could go there once a month or something like that. I mean, that's and you have mentioned these park areas, which I'm not very familiar with.
They're really nice, and they're not far, and they have seating.
In the summer, that isn't possibly.
In the winter, it doesn't get that cold here. Yes, this is your first year.
Yeah, okay, but we also like to be indoors. We want to have, But yes, I think there's an option of certainly, maybe not every Sunday that we meet, but it's certainly to be able to know that we do have the freedom to do it that now and again. And if we are sort of looking at the times and being a little bit more strict on the time frame. But that I feel like I'm going quite some distance to sort of compromise.
All right.
Like, I don't want to be the evil.
Yeah.
Like all I'm asking is if you want to have something that just let us know.
Well, I'm letting you know every Sunday.
Well, you're letting us know by the noise,
Yeah,
but
okay.
in advance.
Okay. So giving notice, I'll put here. Yeah. Does that work for both of you? Giving notice? Is that something you'd be prepared to do, Charlotte?
If I was considering it to be a party, then yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
of this special occasion.
And also that doesn't have to be on a Sunday, that could be on a Saturday.
There's no problems on Saturday.
Yeah.
And what would you do with that information?
Well, then at least I would know and understand that we're part of the decision, since we're kind of living in shared... Okay. There's a wall dividing us, but we're in a shared building.
Okay, so for you that would spell out consideration of your... Okay, great. So we'll just pause here with understanding and consideration. Is that fair?
Yes, it's fair.
Yes.
Okay, great. So Charlotte and Frances, I know we've been here a little while now, and I really thank you for your patience and your commitment to continue to think about and explore how you can make your relationship a little better. As neighbors, you have the one wall between you. And, it's encouraging that you've, I think, been able to build some better understanding of each other's lives and interests. Great. So a few minutes ago, we added in purple, you'll see there, all the options that you seemed quite keen to explore. And I'm just wondering, before we part today, if it would be possible for us to really, nail down, understand who's going to do what, and to make whichever options you really now decide would be something that you would like to reduce to an agreement?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. So taking the uppermost one, the smaller community gathering that we did right would be within the rules, the 2 to 8. So I'm wondering what you think would be the next steps in making that happen, if that's something you're still comfortable with.
I mean, you're very, very welcome to come over and have, I can do an afternoon tea. My husband, William, and I will do that. We could probably do it with children or without children. And if you would reach out to the other families.
We can bring some food over so it's
Yes.
not so much of a burden on you. And
That's fine. But I don't have contact numbers for the other families, so you would.
I can reach out to them.
Yeah, then we will maybe, I don't know, just throw around a couple of date possibilities, and if we extend that invitation to you, would that be okay? If we came up with a couple of dates and then you were to ask, I think it's just 2 other families that you suggested. Okay, then let's try that.
And in terms of throwing around those dates, what are you thinking the mode of communication would be? Because I know that at the start of the day, the note seemed to be a little bit of an irritant. So do you want to do that sort of at the garden gates, or do you want to exchange phone numbers? How will you agree a day?
I think I would like to give you my phone number or vice versa, and we just maybe on a chat just look at some possible dates, and maybe we could do a Saturday instead of a Sunday, because it's likely I will still be seeing family on a Sunday.
Francis, what do you think?
I mean, that we're at this point, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll suggest a Saturday in the next few weeks, and we'll see if we can find a time when the other families are available.
So, with regards to number 1, that dates for, and just to be absolutely sure that we are all talking about the same thing. This is the smaller community gathering, which would be the Johnsons and the Greens, to come over to your home, Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So dates for gathering, we'll just put here, gathering. Mm-hmm. And that you will invite others.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good. And that you will provide those dates first, and then you'll liaise. Mm-hmm. Correct? Okay. And then now, in terms of the Sundays and giving any notice, this was something that you talked about earlier. I don't know how comfortable you were about it, whether you would like to talk about that as something that you agree or not.
I would like to carry on as we have been doing on a Sunday, meeting with my friends and with my family. That we just take note of the times and of the volume. And there may be moments when, but...
Moments are moments.
Moments are moments, yeah.
So I'll just say plus F to inform. And how would you like that to be? By text or to come round?
If it gets too loud, please. Yes, is that what you're saying?
Yes. How would you like to be informed gently? You were saying, yeah.
I think please, if we're being too loud, just come and tell us.
Like I could just send a little text, say, hey.
Yeah, it's just if I don't see my phone, if I'm not looking at it. But if I miss your text, please come and. I just don't want to make my friends and family feel uncomfortable, but I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. So
both hand a text first.
If I miss the text, please come over.
And if there's no response, I'll understand that maybe you're entertaining, and then maybe it's like knock on the door or something.
So I'll just say plus minus visit if there's no.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, right. So, Francis and Charlotte, thank you so much for spending all this time today, considering the options, and now finally coming to some sense of agreement. Mm-hmm. What I'll do next is that I'll type this up, email it to you, if that's okay.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
I'll email it to you. Within the next 48 hours, you'll receive it. So you'll both have the same copy. And what would be wonderful is if you could just respond back saying, I agree to these terms. Okay? At which point you'll get the version for you both to keep, And that works. So the first one that I will send to you will have draft settlement on it. If you confirm to me that you agree to that, then I'll send it out as a final settlement between the two of you. And it would be wonderful if you could, at some point very soon, actually sign that agreement.
And is that then sent to the municipality?
Yes. Yeah? Okay, so both of you to sign it, and then you'll both have the same copy. All right? Does that work?
Yes, it does.
Okay, great. And is there anything else that you want to ask before you go?
No? No?
No.
Nothing
I
else?
think we've covered it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all your time today, and I really wish you the best. And if, we hope not, but if something breaks down in terms of the communication between you, or something that hasn't even been discussed today happens, then please do reach out to me. I'll be very happy to help.
And all your details will be on the
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Go well. Go well. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Francis.
Great. Go well.